and I'm excited to be with Sharona today. And we're going to be talking about anger. And
Mm.
before we go into that topic, and I love that Sharona is dressed for the occasion to be talking about anger. I love it. I love it.
I'm
This is
ready.
perfect. You're ready. I know you're ready. All right. So let's start with a little bit of introduction. So my name is Claudette and I'm a stepmom coach. I coach stepmoms. And why I started to do this is because, well, I'm a stepmom and I couldn't find any resources. And definitely there was a lot of anger issues and a lot of anger problems being a stepmom. And a lot of stepmoms deal with anger. And so, through a lot of hard work, education, training, research, and support, I decided to help other stepmoms become successful in their families. And so, I'm going to introduce you to Sharona. Sharona, hi.
Hi, everybody. Sharona here, and greetings and salutations. So my background is very eclectic, but one of the things that I've always been very passionate about was change, and I'm now focusing on midlife women dancing with change. And in change, there is like all these emotional components. And I've been working on the emotional components of change because, as a transition and transformation specialist, working individually and in groups and in business, one of the things I've always observed is we do not talk about our emotions. We do not allow our emotions to be expressed. And as women, a lot of times we learn to, especially with anger, we learn to avoid, swallow, shut down our anger. So that's what I am all about, is helping people, inspiring midlife women to who are struggling with change, to help them through the emotion, not just the physiology and the career and the relationship, but the emotional components of change. And that it's okay to be angry. It's okay. Whoops, did we freeze? Okay, I don't know if I'm still on. I think Claudette, where did Claudette go? So, there we have it. So that's what that's about. Uh, maybe I froze. Okay. Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
We're back and
We're
we're live.
back. Okay, and we're back live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again. Oh, we had, okay. So perfect. Okay. So again, I was talking about, how live TV can get in the way. And I was watching Dancing with the Stars, and one of the contestants was sick and was in the hospital, but the show must go on. And that's exactly what we're doing. The show must go on,
The show
right?
always must go on. And as I have a background in theater, and I've had many a times with scenery and props doing not what they're and dropping lines. So yes, you just carry on, and you can curse all you want, but the show must go on. It must.
Exactly. So, but cursing doesn't help, right? The show still goes on,
The
right?
show still goes. Once in a while, you do have to have, a 5-second temper tantrum, but then you still got to get it done. So there you go.
Exactly. So, why are we talking about, and I want to address a few questions while we're doing this. We're going to go for about 30 minutes so people understand, 20, 30 minutes so people understand how long we're going to be here. And some of the things we want to talk about is anger in society. Why are we talking about anger? The benefits of experiencing anger, just in case people are wondering, well, what are the advantages of being angry, and what does it mean for us? When the consequences of not expressing our anger. So those are the main things we're going to address, and share a little bit more, some tips and suggestions on how to deal with anger, both in midlife crisis, like for what Sharona does, and for myself with stepmoms. Dealing with challenges in their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sharona, let's start. Why are we talking about anger?
Well, see, I was just going to go back to something I said, because we're bored. No, because we're bored and we need to stay off the streets. So let's talk about anger. I'm going to say it anyway. So here, so for me, what I realized, again, when I was dealing with change and transition, part of change, and life is always changing. Midlife, being a stepmom, being, re-emerging with a new family, there's changes. The dynamics change. Everything's changed. And with that, there's this, in change, there is this component called anger. We get angry. And anger, how I define anger is when a personal boundary of ours has been crossed.
Yeah.
And usually underneath the anger is other emotions. So, for instance, working with, coming into a new family, merging two families together, my guess, the dynamic has changed, and it's could be feeling out of control. The others, in dealing with women, inspiring midlife women and change, their relationships might change, careers might change, and again, it's that feeling of it's not the same. Who am I? What is next? And then there's this anger. What if it's not showing up how I thought it would be?
Yeah. And I love what you just shared about, in midlife things change. Like my kids, I'm a stepmom. I've been a stepmom for 25 years, and my kids are out of the home and now grandma. So the dynamics is different. But, some of the anger that sometimes comes is about myself. Who am I? Like, what's my identity now? Like, I'm still a stepmom, I'm a grandmother, I'm a wife, but things have changed. And sometimes it gets frustrating because you're going around and saying, okay, how is this how life is? And now I'm like getting to the second part of my life, which is in essence the best part, because I've done all my duties, I've taken care of everybody, it's time for me. But if you've not done a lot of self-care or taking care of yourself, it's like sometimes those emotion comes up, and when people are invading your space, like, whoa, like, haven't I given you enough already? Like, can I have some time for me, or can I not be respected and seen for who I am now? It's like, I'm not, you know. And what I see a lot of times is people and you talked about boundaries, and sometimes people are treated as doormats. Like, if you've done that all your life, and all of a sudden you're realizing, I'm tired of being treated like a doormat. I'm not a doormat. I'm a person. Can you just treat me so? So yeah, you talked about boundaries. That's definitely one of the things that makes anger rise to the top and be more apparent.
And I want to just add a little bit to what you just said, uh, Claudette. You know, and I'm going to talk from a woman's point of view, because I identify as woman. So here's the thing: is I can remember as a child and as a little girl that I was not allowed to show anger. I was not allowed to express my anger, because there is this underlining whatever thing that women or girls or females are not allowed to be angry, because we are supposed to be nice. And I'm going to put nice. Years ago, someone gave me a great acronym for nice that wasn't actually very nice, but I can't remember what it was. And somebody somewhere might know what that is. But we're told to be nice and not be emotional, because with all emotions, there is no control. There's no sense of control. And I'm going to put that in quotes, and that we're vulnerable. And the thing is, as women, we're taught that if we're showing our emotions, we're being weak.
Mm-hmm.
So what has happened as we grow and we continue to grow is we still don't know how to express anger in a way that is healthy. And so again, we stuff it, we deny it, and then what happens is something will trigger it, and we'll rage for no apparent reason, way beyond the portion to what is really happening. So one of the things I suggest is, when you're in the moment of anger, just say, I'm really angry right now. Don't have to explain why. And then leave, if you can, the situation, so that way you can calm down, breathe, and then come back to the conversation, because you cannot have a logical conversation when you're angry.
Exactly. I love what you shared about, we can't have a logical conversation when we're angry, because that happens a lot, right? When we're angry, we say things in the moment that comes to us that may have nothing to do with the situation. And this is where the term bringing in the kitchen sink comes in, right?
Right.
We're bringing in every bit of stuff that people have done to us, like centuries, like forever. It seems like until human existence. Here we are sharing stuff, and whoever the person is, and it could often be your spouse or the kids, and they're looking at you like, what? Where did you come up with this? Like, really? And then it just fuels even more anger, more frustration, more misunderstanding, and it gets out of control, right?
And it does. It gets out because we're raging against something that's not happening in the moment. I can't think of that. It's disproportional to what is in the moment. And so we accelerate the anger into rage, and it goes on. And you know what? It's like you got to deal with the anger right there. And it's usually about, again, what is really going on? What is the emotion underneath it? That really is where I feel like I'm not either being heard or seen, or my requests are not being, one of the things that I for most of my women clients who I work with, a lot of times the anger, for what triggers a lot of their anger, is they don't feel like they're being respected.
Yeah.
And they're not being heard. Right? They're being like pushed aside, or they feel invisible. A lot of times midlife women have this feeling of being invisible and not being seen. So one of the things is, so we want to stand and fight for our right to be whatever
Yes.
we're being. And but you can't do it when you're in anger. You have to let that. So there are ways to be seen, and one of the ways to be seen is to see yourself first. You were talking about, who am I, what am I, who am I, what's next, and really figure out who you are without the family, without, who are you, not your job, not your position in the family structure, but who am I as myself.
Yeah. And that happens. I love that you mentioned that, because that happens a lot as a stepmom, especially if she's a woman who didn't have kids of her own and she enters into a role of instant mom. All of a sudden, it's like, I'm a successful woman. I have a successful career. I've been successful in many areas. But if she feels like she's not being successful as a stepmom, it's like, oh my God, like, what is going on here? And it's total chaos for her. At least it feels total chaos. And, the fear of the unknown, of uncertainty, of, as you said, being invisible, being disrespected, of being used as a doormat. Those are all feelings that come up and then can spark anger. So I'd like to go a little bit, like we talked about the benefits. I want to go a little bit deeper about expressing, or the benefits of expressing our rage or anger, I shouldn't say, not rage, but anger. Because there's a difference. I also want to talk about, there's a difference between anger, hostility, and hatred, right? It's not the same thing.
No.
And so we have to understand that being angry is not the same as hating someone or being hostile towards someone, because the two others, being hostile and having hatred, are the extreme of anger, where you can actually lead to the actions. And I think when we're angry, it's the actions that we take that makes it negative or not, right?
Right. So I think one of the things is hatred. Hatred is, people think the hatred is the opposite of love. It's not. Indifference is the opposite of love. Hatred. Oh, did I freeze again? Hatred. Oh, I think I froze again.
And we just froze. Oh, there you are.
You see, you know what? Okay, this is my conspiracy theory with the cyber gremlins in the cyberverse. When we start talking about deep, deep things, the cyber gremlins and the cyberverse says, hell no, we're not going there. Let's keep it all nice. So we just gotta, if we freeze, we'll come back and we'll just keep talking, because the cyber gremlins are.
Oh no, she froze again. So, as Sharona was saying, the cyber gremlins are saying we don't want to talk about anger. And Sharona was just about to say that the opposite of anger is not love, or the opposite of hatred is not love, but it's indifference. The opposite of, I should say, the opposite of love is indifference. And I think when people are indifferent to us, that probably is the most hurtful thing that we can ever live through. And let me just get to Sharona here. Make sure she knows we're still there. Frozen. Yeah, we should do the song Frozen, right? I don't think so. So let me move on a little bit so we can talk a little bit about anger. And, anger is about choice. You choose how to react when things are happening. And then anger is again is a use. So anger is a useful motivator, especially when you want to have healthy change. And so, and we're seeing, if you've seen the news recently, we've seen anger being used to make changes in our world, whether it's political, whether it's social. Without anger, nothing changes. It's how we choose to express that anger that makes a difference. And I think that's where we need to be more aware and cautious of how it is. So let me see here. Sharon is still there. Okay. And I'm gonna talk about, when we are afraid of something, whether we're afraid of not being loved, we're afraid of being rejected, we're afraid of the uncertainty of our lives and where we're going. I think that is where we come up with feelings of anger, and it's difficult to know what to do. I've recently watched the movie Inside Out. Oh, there she is. Sharona is back. And I'll let her get back and settle back in. Hi,
Okay.
Sharona.
Again, I'm going to keep going. I figured it out.
Good for you. Good for you. So I was just sharing about, some of that when we share anger and, in the media, we recently we have the politics, we have when people when we're angry, it can actually help create change. And examples of that are in the media is, politics. When people are angry, they elect new officials, and change happens. We also have the universities where students did not want to stand for being disrespected or for racial slurs, so they are angry. It's how you use your anger to create change that is important. I was also about to share that I recently saw the movie Inside Out, and that in that movie they share about 5 emotions, and in those 5 emotions, anger is part of it. And they show how, certain times you need to feel angry in order to create the change you need.
Mm-hmm.
No emotion on their own, I think, is bad. It's how you use it to create change and to improve yourself that is define how it's good or bad.
It was interesting because I just did this. I was talking about sadness, because that's one of the ones that we also deal with in when you're dealing with change. There's sadness, and I came up with this. I don't know what is it with us human beings. We were giving this lovely palette of emotions. We were giving this lovely array, array of emotions, and yet we have labeled emotions negative or positive. And all emotions are, all of them, anger, sadness, disgust, whatever it is, love, happiness, and happiness is an emotion, is that it is our messenger to ourselves to let us know what is out of sync. And again, when you're talking about anger, to help with change, anger is there to give us the strength to fight for our right to be and to take care of the boundaries that are being crossed. That's all anger's there for. And yet, we go into this thing about, we make judgments, especially for women, about if we get angry. Oh, good girls don't do that. So one of the things to help with our anger is let go of the judgment. It's an emotion, and all emotions, it's energy in motion. That's what emotions are, is giving you the energy to take care of what needs to be taken care of in the moment, to fight for your right to be.
I love it.
Easy. Easier said than done, but there you go. And one of the things is if you're not comfortable with anger, find safe ways to not only speak it, but express it in the body. Um, one of my favorite things is to put on boxing gloves. I'm not hitting anybody. I remember when I put on the boxing gloves and, someone said, "Oh, well, I don't, what is it? I don't believe in violence." Expressing anger with boxing gloves with yourself, punching it out, is not about being violent. It is moving the energy from the back to the front. And that is one of the reasons I've always wondered why, medically they have reasons, but why women hunch over is because we hold all the past anger in our back. And so by punching, we take that energy and we move it out.
Nice.
The other thing is, hey, take a pillow and punch the heck out of it. Scream into the pillow. When I was a carpenter, I used to go to the dump and curse at things, throwing things into the dump, knowing they were crashing. Great stuff, crashing things. But sometimes you have to rip things into tiny little pieces and.
Yep. And I love that because we often talk about anger, but I love that we're talking now about how to deal with it. Like what are the strategies we could do to deal with anger? So some of them was using some boxing gloves, either just box in the air, or you could also you're frozen again, or hit a punching bag. Another good strategy is screaming. Like I lived out in the country, and I'm sure Sharona's come back. Okay, let me just let her know. So let me get here. This is frozen. Okay.
Okay.
So,
okay. You know what? Maybe next time we'll try it. I don't know if it's the Google Plus. I don't know if it's my connection, but this is silly. This is getting silly with
we're doing good. So so I was just reiterating what you were sharing about using boxing gloves. I was talking about screaming. I lived out in the country, so screaming was a great way to relieve anger. When I was driving, I would have music full blast in the car, and I would be screaming, singing at the same time. I love what you shared about ripping little pieces of paper. That's a great way to release stress or anger, and which stress comes with anger, right? I mean, when you're angry, there's stress attached to it. And the other thing, one of my favorites, is journaling. Now, I don't do it all the time, but journaling is really a great way. And you can use markers and write as big, whatever word, 4-letter word you want to use in your journal. You're the only one reading it. So you can say whatever you want. And if you're afraid someone's going to read it, write it on a huge piece of paper. And after you're done, rip it to shreds and then burn it. Yeah. And that's another great way of relieving anger. Any other suggestions, Sharona?
Yeah, I was going to say I love dancing. I love dancing because it gets the body, the mind, and the spirit work all in cahoots together. So put on music that is angry music, whatever that is for some people. What came into my head right now is Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. Get something out there and just shake your booty like you mean it. Because again, it's getting everything. It's getting the emotion. Everything's working together to make that dance happen. And no one's going to see it. And even if they do, who cares? Nobody cares. So dance like you mean it. Angry. Be angry.
Awesome. So as we wrap up, can you give one tip and your website? So for those midlife women in crisis wanting to have help with anger, where can they go?
Okay, so they can go to my website, dancingwithchangethothrive.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Midlife Women Dancing with Change. And I have a lot of little tips on there. And one tip I think for me in the moment, I think I would suggest is, acknowledge your anger, know what triggers you.
Ah, come on, Sharona. So, okay. So what I'll do is I'll have her. Let's see here. So I'll have her finish and come back. So as for me, I'm Claudette and you can find me at thestepmomcoach.com. And one tip, and I deal a lot with women, stepmoms who are angry and frustrated in their step family, and there's a lot of anger. And so I love what Sharona said, be aware of what triggers it. And, find a way that you can express it. And like I share, I love writing. And for some people, it could be doing, like it's very popular these days. I'll have you come back and share again, Sharona, in a minute.
Okay.
So, and I'm just sharing like one tip where I like to deal with anger, and that would be the coloring books. No, that's the big craze these days is coloring books. So that could be something. It's very meditative in ways that it keeps your brain and your mind focused on that one task, and it can help you to calm down before you deal with the anger. So it's not instead of dealing with your anger, it's to calm you down, because as we mentioned earlier, like when you're really, really angry, you can't be logical, and you will tend to say things you may regret. So if you're feeling yourself super angry, find a way to calm yourself down, not eliminate it, but at least calm yourself down so that you can have a logical conversation with whoever it is that you're angry with. So Sharona, your tip and where we can see you again.
Okay, so dancing with change to thrive.com is the website. The Facebook page is Midlife Women Dancing with Change. There's all kinds of tips and little tidbits on there about anger and other emotions. But I think one of the things that a tip is acknowledge your anger, honor your anger, and then if it's possible, I think it's if you're in the moment, a heated anger moment, walk away. It's almost the same thing. Take a walk, go outside, breathe. They say count to 100 or 10 or whatever, but just breathe and because on a biological level, when you're angry, all the blood flows out of your head and into your extremities, because you're going to do three things: fight, flight, or freeze. So go walk it off, come back and take care of what you need to take care of.
Excellent. Thank you. And so again, if you have any questions, you can either talk with Sharona or myself about your anger issues, and whether you're a midlife or a stepmom, and we'd love to talk with you. So enjoy the rest of your evening, day, wherever you're doing. And thank you for sticking up through all our chaotic gremlins. Thank you. Bye.